of the major reasons that we have all gathered here, as I shared in the beginning, is to celebrate the 65th anniversary of Independence Day. And without paying our tribute and without paying our respect to the martyrs of India, this evening would be incomplete. Poetry, recitation, acting and music, and has founded several colleges and institutions for the benefit of society. He serves as the chairman, Foreign Policy Research Institute, India. So may I kindly request you to come up on the stage and share a few words with our audience.
For our arrival to this Augustine shoot, great Jatmarini, great statesman of the country. You are a scholar, you are a seer, most knowledgeable, creative genius icon. It's a rare opportunity for me to greet you people. Most respected audience, in a very nutshell, I can only tell you that the old is good. The old world was organized. The present modern world is disorganized. But one thing I can tell you, we are in stake. The only tragedy, terrorism. Terrorism is the greatest danger to the world. And Foreign Research Center is promoting the peace, plunging the war against war, promoting Ahimsa, the great Mahatma Gandhi. You know better than me, the great Mahatma. No substitute for him. How he did. One word he was contributing to the globe. That is India. And moreover, if you know the art how to take care of your own health will take care of you. That Foreign Research Center is promoting not only the world peace, but also the international integration in serving to the humanity. Humanity is in a danger because as a global tourist, I am moving entire globe. I have been visiting more than 100 countries. You go any country, every man, when the jungle is green, when the individual tree is green, the entire jungle is green. When the individual society is healthy, the entire country will be healthy. In the entire globe, every man is impatient. That I mean, we all are patient. And I mean, every individual full of strain, stress, fatigue, which is deep-rooted in our vein, that is to be only released in propagating peace, in promoting brotherhood. And this August body is committed to the same philosophy, which we believe. I can tell you that how the individual can, peace is a all-pervading Brahma, not existing elsewhere. It is existing in our own mind. It may take to meet that zero state of consciousness. According to quantum physics, the state of least excitation, the zero entropy, where the thinking is transcended, mind may come in contact with the pure thought. That pure thought is containing the pocket full of cosmic vibration. We are lacking. Now we are lacking. And we are seeking peace, peace. Peace is your own mind. It may take to the absolute state of consciousness, where thinking is transcended, mind may come in contact with pure thought. This August body, this August institute the modern temple of integration, international integration. Long since 21 years, fighting, moving, touring, propagating. Throughout today, I've seen his book was inaugurated in Hanoi. We are there, delegated to represent there. And we are there also in unification of North and South Korea. We are there also to have a compromise in between Vietnam and South East Sea, China. I told them categorically, the ocean is for everybody, the water is for everybody, the air is for everybody. It's nobody's land. It's the land of nature, the land of environment, the land of life. Life breathing the life. Life is vibrating the life. Mind is vibrating the mind. That vibration to promote the world peace, brotherhood and harmony. And all the ambassadors here is my hearty greeting and cheering to every ambassadors the way they are contributing for the global peace. And Ram Jethwal is here, who has sacrificed the entire career, entire life, struggling. And it's so much of, we both were in the one meeting organized by Supreme Court Bar Association. Burma is here, and other advocates friends are here. They know it, how you have opened your mind criticizing the present system and how one can act in accordance to the laws of nature. One law that is being framed in the parliament.
You are celebrating two events at the same time. 65th anniversary of our independence, and you are also celebrating the 21st anniversary of this foreign policy research. Let me pay a tribute to the Constitution of India, which we created 1950. It is a unique constitution which contains an article, the 51st article of our constitution, which is a lesson to successive governments in the future how to conduct our foreign policy. I don't believe that there is any other constitution of the world which contains these elementary lessons in conduct of foreign policy left for succeeding governments in the almost eternal future that the Constituent Assembly members must have thought of. So, ladies and gentlemen, the 51st article of our Constitution tells us that India will conduct its foreign policy in accordance with international law. It will conduct its foreign policy with the objective of maintaining friendly and honorable relations among the states, that it will promote international peace and security. But ladies and gentlemen, there were 2 or 3 very perceptive members sitting in the Constituent Assembly who, when this draft article was being discussed, he said, but listen, the whole trouble about foreign policy, I believe that Pandit Nehru, who became the first Prime Minister of India and who is credited of being the originators of our foreign policy, the repository of our foreign policy, I think he himself had not read Article 51 at all. When the Chinese raised the dispute with us, and the Chinese, of course, very, very clever diplomats they were in those days, particularly their Zhou Enlai, who was a great friend of Pandit Nehru, and who had decided that he is going to promote Pandit Nehru as the greatest Asian living and as an apostle of peace and a great founder of the non-aligned movement, which they called Panchshir at that time. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many of you have ever thought of this Panchshir doctrine which Pandit Nehru introduced in this country. I think which was under the direct inspiration of Zhou Enlai, who, as I told you, was a very clever man. One of the fundamental principles of Panchshir was that no state will ever concern itself with how any state or any government of any state is dealing with its own citizens. In other words, never have a look into our affairs inside our own borders, mind your own business, and don't ever criticize as to what we are doing to our own citizens. Now this, according to me, was the great defect of Panchsheel, because it was wholly inconsistent with existing international law. International law recognizes the doctrine of humanitarian intervention in the affairs of other states. And our whole charter, particularly a part of the charter which deals with states short of war, deals with those states which are almost equivalent of war and powerful enough as war itself, but it is directed against those states who unfairly deal with their own citizens in a manner which shocks the conscience of the civilized world. How did we start imposing sanctions against those who were practicing apartheid in South Africa? Now that was an interference with the internal affairs of a nation, inconsistent with Panchsheel, but nevertheless you saw that ultimately we bent down South Africa not by the practice of Panchsheel, but by doctrines and practices wholly inconsistent with Panchsheel. So this Panchsheel was the first bad lesson in foreign policy which Pandit Nehru taught us, and then of course he became the leader of the non-aligned movement. Now the non-aligned movement itself is inconsistent with traditions of international law, because after all, for 200 years, if international peace was maintained in the world, it was by the doctrine of balance of power. The doctrine of balance of power said that if one state is so strong that if it becomes an aggressor state, then how shall other nations deal with it? The only way other nations can deal with it is that the weaker nations must all unite. Those nations which cannot individually face a mighty aggressor should put their resources together and be able to fight that single aggressor who may turn out to be what an aggressor really means in actual society.
India's relations with other nations and negotiating cordial relations with our neighboring countries. It has a long and glorious past, and we are very proud to be associated with this institute, which has the luminaries who has headed this institute earlier. As we all know, India is placed in a strategic geographical point where we have our friendly neighbors, and as a developing nation, India wants to establish as a developed nation. The past decades and centuries have been to struggle and to establish ourselves, and once we enter the 21st century, the country wants to enter this century and fulfill its aim to become a developed nation.